Hello, it's me again. In this video we're going to be talking about something very important, which is why I'm in a suit. Mainly affecting the US, but of course the US being such a large market and depending on things, these may affect other areas as well. We're going to talk about tariffs. How fun. Economics is far from my strongest point, I just talk about plastic waifu, but essentially there is a baseline 10% tariff on imports to the US from pretty much every country. This started April 5th. There's also an extra amount on other countries depending on, well, the country. These are called reciprocal or retaliatory tariffs on countries which have implemented a similar thing towards the US. Essentially, you make our stuff more expensive and we make your stuff more expensive. The idea is to encourage supporting local producers and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, here is a random picture I found on the internet of some figure companies and their locations and tariffs. From Japan, for example, we have 24%, Bandai, Kotobukiya, Good Smile, Tamashi, to name a few. From China, 34%, well, I guess you know the Chinese companies, I hope. We got Snail Shell, Husky, Sushing, and those type of brands. Stuff like Hasbro, Mattel, they're also made in China, so I suppose 34% on those as well from the picture. We're not going to focus too much on the exact numbers and details because they might change anyway, but what does all this mean? Essentially, things will get more expensive and, well, they'll get more expensive to make and sell. So that means lower profit margins for companies, and in this case we're still talking about figure companies, I suppose. And so generally the cost will get passed to consumers, I suppose, as most smart companies will do this. Other potential things could be trying to be more efficient or simplifying ways of making things, using different materials and stuff like that. But these would kind of all take time and may not lead to the best results. Kind of like the Nendroid boxes, I suppose. So, long story short, stuff is probably going to get more expensive, unfortunately. So what does this mean for collectors? A potential increase in figure prices, of course, reflecting the tariffs. Also kind of might be an excuse for companies to make stuff more expensive, you know, mark stuff up. And I guess even if the tariffs go away, there's no saying that the prices will drop again, since it'll kind of become the new normal. So what options do we have as collectors? Well, I guess one thing is probably to stop, which is, you know, not that practical because, you know, you probably wouldn't want to stop something that you enjoy, you know, it's like a hobby, right? More realistic, probably slowing down, that makes sense, I suppose. Being a bit more selective in what kind of figures you get. I think a good thing you could be is to just try to enjoy the stuff that you already have, depending on how things go. Personally, I have kind of fallen into the trap of buying random stuff just because, and well, cause YouTube, right? It might sound kind of silly, but you may have seen me take my figures outside, you know, to take pictures and stuff. It makes me feel a little less likely to buy stuff as well. I don't really know how that works. You can also build on some thick skin because, you know, people are absolutely gonna stare when you take pictures outside, but whatever. You might also have seen my Instagram stories and stuff, so, you know, do check me out there if you haven't. I do also have a Discord if you're interested, accessible via YouTube membership or Patreon. We pretty much just chat about figures and gachas and stuff. Of course, do also consider checking out and bookmarking my affiliate links in the description. Big thank you to those who have used them in the past, really do appreciate it. Alright, so what about the rest of the market? So, I guess like non-US collectors. Because these tariffs only affect the US, right? Well, depending on how things go, I suppose the effects may be felt in the overall hobby. With the US taking up such a large portion of the market, after all, there is, you know, if there is less demand due to like higher prices and stuff, there'll be less supply, right? Because economics. With companies making less money, prices may see an increase, of course, as well as with the tariffs. We can't forget about the pre-owned or aftermarket prices as well, right? Because a lot of figure companies these days, they do stuff to order, right? So they produce based on orders, and so of course lower orders, less demand means less production, right? And so meaning that even after figures release, right, in the aftermarket or pre-owned prices, if you don't pre-order something and if you want to go and grab it afterwards, then there'll be less to grab, right? And so essentially prices will go up. Makes sense, right? This is all just me kind of rambling. Who knows what's actually going to happen, so I guess let's see how things pan out. Hope for the best, I suppose. Anyway, hope you're having a good one. Take care, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.